Good evening, y'all. Wow, we already got somebody watching. Look at that. I'm Austin. This is PVN, People's Voice Network. We're uh, back a little bit, and we got Felice here with us. Uh, hello. And we got Andrea as well. We're going to talk about a few things tonight. Uh, we're going to talk about some TikTok bullshit and the Patriot Act, AI, Trump indictment, however that works for him. But I think starting us off, we're going to have Andrea talk about all the anti-trans bills that are sweeping this great nation of ours.
I know we could have so many cool things sweeping this great nation of ours, but instead, what we've got are astroturfed anti-trans bills, and they're primarily targeting the youth, which just right there, targeting youth. Always, you can just stop right there. Like, there's no good. I think I shall pick on children. Like, there's no good bill for that. I have yet to see a bill that's like, I am going to bully kids. Where I think to myself, we should do more of that. So these bills are
Yeah, because
they're
things
also,
aren't already tough enough.
yeah, for sure. And like when you hear, if you ever talk to trans youth, I don't know how much exposure people have had, but they face a lot of hurdles even in a supportive school environment, right? One of the ones that I interact with frequently, um the school is supportive, their teachers are supportive, but their district is conservative. So if they want to go to a friend's house, their friends have to dead name them. There's no, if they don't, then they can't be friends because the parents are so rabidly anti-trans. So it's not even like they can go out and make a bunch of friends and build up a huge social circle, because you run into these issues. And so if you're in rural Nebraska, the youth there are facing the exact same issues, right? There might be one or two or three parents who might be okay with it in the school. And then everybody else is like, no. So these kids are already forced, whether they're allowed to transition or not, they're already forced to live in like this gray zone. And when you do something like what they did this week that was absolutely infuriating, with the shooter in Tennessee, where they're like, first off, I have yet to see confirmation that this was a person that is transgender. All I saw was right-wing people freaking out and saying it was, which doesn't make it true. In fact, it quite likely makes it a lie. But the frothing hate against trans people online was terrifying. I actually know parents that reached out to the schools to say, I expect you to still continue to do all the things you've always done to ensure that my very vulnerable child is not harassed or bullied or attacked at school because their parents are listening to Tucker Carlson and whoever those lunatics of Congress are, right? Like, but in the middle of all that, which is very bleak, it's when you're telling trans youth that they don't exist, that you can't exist, that it's a crime for your parents to parent you. This is genocide. They decided to start just to cut it off at the roots. Like, this will be the last generation of transgender people living freely across the United States if we don't stop all of this, because that's why they're targeting children. They want the children to be too afraid to ever continue transitioning once they're legally old enough. And now they're targeting in places like Texas, insurance. So, okay, you're an adult. It's legal for you to get gender conforming care. It's legal for you to seek out your own doctors. You don't have to answer to anyone, except that now they're making it illegal for insurance to cover any gender affirming care. That's their
Mm-hmm.
next step. So they are targeting adults too. I mean, if people weren't really concerned about this, if they thought they could just be, oh, it's not a big deal, So they have to wait a few years to transition. And in those few years, yeah, they might get thrown out of their house. They might take up drug addiction. They might flunk out of school. They might take up drug addiction. They might, who doesn't? They might suffer through that, right?
Yeah.
They might commit suicide. And that one is huge. And I remember listening to the Utah governor at the time, a strong Republican, saying when he vetoed one of these same kind of bills, he was like, look, it says that this stuff keeps them alive. I want them to live, right?
Exactly.
We want them to live.
We're supposed to be protecting our children right now, especially it's like, oh, pro-life everywhere right now, but it's like, so we're going to make sure that this group of children, though, are probably either going to suffer horribly and have horrible mental issues and possibly hurt themselves if something worse doesn't happen before then because of all the hate that's happening. It's getting awful, especially in the South right now.
It is, and they just whip it up to this froth. And these kids they're old enough, most of them, who are participating in this discussion to see it.
Mm-hmm.
They see it. They know people just hate them just for existing. They just loathe them. They want to completely eradicate them. And how would that be to be 14 years old and already can't make new friends and already can barely leave the house because the neighbors will just be jerks to you? How would that be to know that there are people just sitting around just lusting after your eradication, right? Because that's what it is when you look at how these people act. It's like this lust to hurt people. And I think just on the left, we're really not talking about this enough. I see it here and there. A few people are absolutely staunch trans rights, pro-trans youth, protect the children, diehards, but I don't see it enough. I don't see it enough.
You were saying that there was somebody up in Midwest doing that their filibuster.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about Megan
Oh my
Hunt?
God. And she looked him straight in the face and she was like, you know what? If you try to pass this bill, don't ever talk to me again. Never again. You are hurting my family. You don't get to pretend that this is political. This is personal. You are personally attacking my child. You are endangering the life of my child. You will never speak to me again. And they didn't listen. And they advanced the bill without these amendments that would have mitigated the worst of it. And she started filibustering. And then two other state level legislators started helping her. And when the GOP in Nebraska went and changed the rules to make it so that she couldn't keep filibustering. Nebraska only has a 90-day session a year, which I just learned. So it's a very short span of time to get done everything that needs to be done.
Alabama is similar.
Right. It wasn't supposed to be a full-time job, I guess. Right. And so every day that she's dragging foot is a day that they're not addressing anything else. Nothing has gotten done in Nebraska for like 2.5 weeks now. So the GOP changed the rules so they could just pass it over the filibuster. And the second they did that, Megan Hunt, I think Senator Hunt, introduced, and one of her peers introduced 742 amendments for the totality of the bills left for the session. So now they can't do anything because now they have to go over 742 amendments. And she even told them, we need one person to switch on this and we'll get back to work. And they're holding the line. They're sticking together. She's like, okay. And it's just using the power of the bureaucracy, right? Which the power of the bureaucracy is used to hurt us all the time. So I'm down. And you see it's spreading. There's other women who are starting to stand up across the country and these legislators doing the same thing. Like, we are not going to continue to tolerate these attacks on the youth. But again, this week was particularly bad. If you are a person who interacts a lot with trans youth, who spends time in the LGBTQ plus community, if you are someone who is responsible for a child under the transgender umbrella, it's a really good time to start doing those check-ins. I know that we all do the check-ins anyway, but really get in there and really support them. They're young, they're vulnerable, they're scared, they're like, everybody hates us. Just even if you don't understand, I don't understand a bajillion things, and that doesn't mean anything. I don't understand how little tiny mushroom type things can live next to heat vents at the bottom of the ocean and not die, but they do it whether I understand or not. Right? So they're going to keep doing that. Transgender people are going to exist, whether you understand it or not. So, it's a really hard time right now. Reach out, save a life, mentor the youth, right? I think it's critical.
I would totally agree with you. And leveraging the bureaucracy to do something. It shows you what can be done when we talk about like up in DC and the lack of leveraging of whatever power the so-called progressives up there in the Democratic Party or whatever, which we all know is a load of shit. They're same party, Democrats, Republicans, one bird, same wing, can't fly.
Well, not quite, because the Republicans are the ones who decided that women are property again. And, the Dems at least pretended like they cared. So that was nice, because that's not there. I live in Michigan. There was a whole thing about Proposition 3 and stuff. So that's all Michigan Dems.
Something's wrong. Something's happening with your mic. It's like popping in and out. Could you try to?
Yeah, let me see.
Okay. But
is it working better?
No.
It's still popping some.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's like you're a robot at the moment. It kind of sounds like you're trying to tell us a secret message that it needs to be censored, kind of, so we won't get kicked off. That's kind of the vibe it's giving.
All right, how about if I talk louder?
No.
No.
Try coming out. Try coming out and coming back in, and yeah. Hello,
Yeah,
Felice.
that'll probably help a little. Hi.
I think so. Speaking of, the anti-trans stuff. I mean, it's everywhere.
It's really bad in South Carolina right now. Yeah. They're actually going after adults here already. In the way that you're not going to be able to get mental health care. You're not going to have access to hormones. They're already trying, they are right behind Florida. What we've been doing recently is watching DeSantis and then I almost called him McMaster because I hate him so much I forget his name. He just follows in step. So about a week after Florida does something, South Carolina is going to do the same thing. We're already doing the library stuff and everything and it's been really bad here. But it's already in our Senate. It's looking like it's going to pass real soon in South Carolina. It's just really a mess, and a lot of people trying to protest it, but it's just there's not as much of a movement, it feels like, and especially up here where I am.
Well, I would say that I would assume, and the more urban the area, the more support and more folks there are that are able to activist, protest, do stuff. Do
the things to help the people. Andrea is back. Let's try to get her.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Sweet.
It's always the answer. Yeah,
Ah,
Andrea, Felice was saying that they're doing the same thing in South Carolina. That they're doing
They're
little
already,
copycat.
yeah, for Florida. We've been at like a week behind them, pretty much. So we're going after mental health care. We're going after adults already. And oh, I meant to mention that if you are aiding and abetting, you also can be arrested. Helping
great.
transgender people, pretty much. That's what is on
What?
our Senate floor right now, and it's about to pass.
Aiding and abetting them to do what? Exist?
Um, live their lives happily, and that's about it. Um,
Wow, adult ones too?
mhm. So we're started. They're starting to do that now. It's
Yeah,
already
it was
beginning
always
here.
coming. And you
Well,
know
that's
what
the.
really, go ahead.
It's like that's the whole point of this is they're saying children right now, but that's not the stopping point. That's never the stopping point. Just like when they were saying the "Don't Say Gay" bill before in the younger kids groups, now they're trying to get it in the higher age, and it's gonna go higher and higher and higher.
It was.
It's just that's what's always going to happen because this is fascism. This is going towards the eradication of other from white supremacy, just like it's always done. It's just happening right in front of us right now. It's
And you
happening
can't,
exactly the same.
it is. Except, no, one thing they did that was very different this time was starting with the youth. Like, I think that that was their test ground. Okay, well, if we're attacking children and nobody tries to stop us, no one's going to care at all about the adults,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, they started
Yeah,
with
it makes
kids.
sense. They
And
really want to
now,
make sure it's going to work.
hmm and I mean, it makes, if you're a fascist fuckball or a turf, which I refuse to say gender critical, like, fuck you, fuck that. You don't get to say you're gender critical and whitewash your name. Like, yo, fuck you. No,
Mm-hmm.
you're a fucking turf and you're going to die a fucking turf and you're a fascist. And so if I was on Twitter, I would be so suspended right now.
Eh.
Come on, you know I would. Also, I'd be flooded with turfs to yell at me. And they're gonna be like, "Well, can you define a woman?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, it's that person that just crossed the street to get away from you." That's what I said last night to one dude. I was like, "You know, when you show up at a party and you're filthy and you stink and your clothes are ripped up and stained and people are giving you side eye, those are women." And they're like, this dude's like, "Can you just define woman?" I'm like, "I just defined woman twice." Not- So that was
Yeah,
fun. Incels.
well, and that's the thing is they're trying to define things as choice and an ideology, but you're just born how you're born.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
I mean,
and
from my
to I was gonna say like w- the the fact that like your body ain't born exactly how you are doesn't seem to be like a stretch of the imagination considering like people get born with like uh, I'll stop. People get born with all kinds of things,
There's a lot of
or
things that
there's a lot
happen.
of things that can
It's
happen.
just, and the thing is, like, this isn't new.
no,
There have always been transgender people from the beginning of time. There have been people who are called two spirit. There have been people over in every single country in the world have had
Well,
different versions of
shoot,
transgender people and accepted them.
yeah,
and
And it
leaders. There have been leaders that have been transgender in antiquity and whatnot. You
mhm.
know,
I
so
We're
I
the behind ones. Once again, as always.
Stone Age mythology running modern day countries. It's just like, wow, this is amazing.
the most
Did you?
brilliant minds of the 1400s.
That
That was good. I need
was
to
good.
write that one down.
That was good. Yeah, I've definitely been following this for a couple years now, and I'm like, it's the turfs that really piss me off because I'm like, Yo, you can't stand. Don't you stand there and use the word feminism. Take it out of your mouth, you dirty whore. Like, okay, I shouldn't have called him that, but um, like you're selling out every one of us for what? So you can grift off these pathetic, depraved, fucking. I don't even have a name for the type of people that would commit genocide and start with children. And that's what they're doing. Like this
They're
is
making it worse this time.
they're making and it no, they aren't. They're not gonna make it
You don't
work
think?
because
Well, we're not going to let them.
right.
For one.
For one. And you are starting to see this incredible pushback, thank goodness. And it started too in Michigan. We had with Proposition 3, it did a lot of different things. And the most, publicity went around enshrining legal abortion, the right to an abortion. But there was also stuff in there like you have the legal right. Every citizen has the legal right to get birth control, to get sterilized, to access needed medical care for their mental health. So hey, Michigan is really, really safe. And we also just did that Elliot Larson Act thing. So move to Michigan.
I'm
We've got
considering it. I mean,
we've got
why
a
not?
bunch of dicks, but beat the rush from climate refugees.
So to transition a little bit, some more pushback and some First Amendment pushback I saw is some folks getting the Bible banned, and from and not burning the Bible, but getting it banned, and the U.S. government, it looks like they're trying to bring in a new Patriot Act.
Sure do. On
Felice,
steroids.
Felice, were you gonna talk about that a little bit, the TikTok bill?
Okay, so they are trying to ban TikTok, in my opinion, because they are seeing everyone come together on this app and start to build something. And we are starting to see more and more people interact with each other. And there's 150 million active users that are in the US on TikTok right now. That isn't something we have anywhere else. And we're allowed to share stories, and we're able to show our lives and interact and show that, hey, we're probably not each other's enemies. And other than the money motives, which I feel like is what everyone is talking about right now, and I feel like that's been gone over like a million times more than it should. We get that everyone's corrupt and everyone wants more money. That's kind of the lobbyists are. Of course, it's lobbyists. Everything is a lobbyist. If that's the conversation you're still trying to have, then you're a little far behind, I think. And if you're actually on the app, you would see that there is a movement with the young people right now.
That's why they want to ban it.
Beautiful. That is exactly why they want to ban it.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are a beautiful future if we let them. They actually care about each other. We're not going to stop them. I am so happy to be one person that's a little bit older who's going to help them make sure that they get their shit done, because they are different. And they're banding together and fighting for something. It's amazing. I wish we were like that.
I see it too, and I'm like, Gen Z does not fuck around, right? Like, I asked my old ass, I was like, something about mental health or stress. She's like, look, all of Gen Z has mental health issues, okay? At least we've got stuffies to snuggle. I was like, that's their attitude. Well, everything sucks, but I got a stuffed animal. And constantly she's talking about one teacher who will take another teacher and they will mock or bully one student. Yeah, it's disgusting. But at the same time, it's alien. These kids, like you said, they care about each other and they get angry. They're like, it used to be people didn't care, but these guys, they're like ride or die, but for an entire generation of strangers.
It's like there's no way they could possibly be doing something wrong. They were born in the same year as I, and I am perfect. It's like, no, that's not how that works. I'm sorry.
No, and so I think you're right. I love watching them organize. I love seeing what they're doing. They're so beautiful. I tweeted out about that the other day where I was just like, they're just better humans than we are.
I saw that because you said that you don't know how we did it because I don't know either.
How did we do it? Because we all kind of
Education
suck.
works.
Education works.
I mean, that's.
But I agree
the
that
truth is out there.
The internet.
The truth is out there, and you're seeing like the gerontocracy folks like start to peter out. But you were saying like I was gonna say like you're talking about Twitter. Twitter has like 200. I think it's like 250 million users somewhere in there. But to say that there's 150 million U.S. users on TikTok, that's fucking half the country.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm on TikTok. It's funny. I'm sorry. It's funny.
I love it.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think the big push, because here's the reality. They're talking about national security. They're talking about getting information about people and data scraping and learning. So the reason I can tell you, like from a national security perspective, what I can tell you is the reason that information is valuable is because there are formulas out there that will tell you what your opponent's capacity is. And to understand, if you want to go to war, you need to understand their capacity, right? So a platform like TikTok with such wide appeal with a whole bunch of data scraping will help you understand how many people are really going to be able to be drafted. Okay, they can't be drafted. Can they work in mines? Can they work in a factory? Can they, right? So these are all things that they will think about from a national security perspective. But here's why that argument regarding TikTok is bullshit. Okay. You guys, how many phone games do you have on your phone right now? If you had to guess, how many apps are on your phone right now?
Oh no. Okay, so I do this thing where I get obsessed with the game for a week and then like ignore it forever. I have so many apps. I have to have over 100 and something apps on my phone.
Yeah, your phone is a cop.
Well, that's not the point. It is, but yeah, it is. But the point is this: every one of those companies is using your imprecise or precise data. Maybe not every one of them, but so many. They're using your phone location metrics. They're watching and can hear because you gave them permission to use their microphone what you're talking about. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that this is some government scheme. What I'm saying is this is a marketing thing. They do it to show you relevant ads. They don't actually care about you. They're not really interested in your information on a personal level. They just see you as a walking dollar sign. So they want to sell you personalized ads. Now, they take all that information and they put it in a database. It's got your name, your device ID, all your frequent habits, how many people around you are doing the same thing. Because when you run a business, and let's say you're Tim Hortons and you want to open a new Tim Hortons location. So you go to these companies, or maybe you do it internally, and they say, okay, well, we have this many cars every hour goes past this location. We've got within a 1 mile radius, 4 other things, right? So they'll triangulate this to decide if it's smart to open a business in that location. Okay, what do you think they're doing with your data? Same shit. How many of these companies have been hacked? How many times has Yahoo or Twitter and then they don't even want to talk about it till they get caught. Facebook with all that data that they used in 2016 to micro-target, okay? The idea that China can't just...
I was going to say, Facebook helped perpetuate a genocide.
That's right. And they got thrown out of multiple countries during election time for interfering with elections. Okay, so we talk about all that data, and there's been so many hacks, right? The idea that China can't go on the dark web and spend 20 American for 5 million names and all of their shit is absurd. In fact, it is so much cheaper to do it that way. And if I was a government, and I'm sure our government's doing it, in fact, I'm sure China's doing it, everybody's doing it because we all spy on each other all the time.
Yeah,
Why would
well,
you
I know.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, there's articles out this past week about just FBI buying bulk data, like skipping warrants and going to a third party vendor for masses of data, and that's been going on since the Patriot Act, right? At least, or not even before then. If you look at J. Edgar Hoover back in the day,
It's always happened.
A file on everybody,
Right.
But,
So the whole argument that the use of TikTok is really a national security issue is bullshit. Russia sat in the Defense Department for God knows how long, scraped everything, every fucking thing. How much of that ended up on the dark web when he needed money for Ukraine? Let's be realistic. Stop blowing smoke up our asses and finding new ways to implement your police state. You're fucking lying. It is no more easy or it's certainly less efficient for China to use TikTok than for China to just ask Russia, to China just hit the dark web. It's bullshit. You're fucking lying. Stop it. You just don't want Gen Z out organizing you.
Well,
but there's more to it. Did you look for the Restrict Act?
No, but I saw a long time ago, TikTok hires ex-NSA, CIA,
Oh yeah,
FBI.
that was a big story that happened a little while ago.
So it's security theater is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
And it's also a violation of my motherfucking First Amendment rights, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I'm not sure they care. They care.
They've never really cared.
The Restrict Act. They're gonna. I think the Restrict Act had a lot more in it, though. Banning VPNs, like if you use a VPN to access.
Yeah, there's so much in this that people aren't even talking about.
It's a horrific bill.
It's
it is.
Updated Patriot
and
Act.
So I did look at how many applications I have on my phone. I don't know if the number is going to show up, but there's 329.
Yes, there are. So
if anyone wants to know anything about me, it's somewhere.
There's no such thing as privacy. It doesn't exist. You've got so much drone footing from amateur drone people. Everybody has a camera. It's like governments can't figure out how to deal with the fact they no longer control the flow of information. And I swear our government was just like, but Russia and China built their own internet, and now their people only see the things they want them to see, and I think we could do it. Nobody'd mind, right?
But we're the land of the free.
Oh yeah, we're free to starve to death.
Here. Yeah,
free to die from preventable illnesses. We do have our freedom rating index is never mind. It's not great.
It's really low actually. Last time I checked, it was pretty bad. It was. It's gotten
worse, I think. Yeah.
I'll have to look that up again. I was taking a class about a year ago for international relations, and we did this whole thing on that. I don't do a whole project, and
it's
we're
bad.
a sad country, aren't we?
Well, when you get down to the details, the nuts and bolts of it, it's like at this point, so much of our nation is a pseudo democracy. Like, because we've blatantly slipped below the democracy. Now, no, don't come at me with a republic, not democracy. But we don't qualify as either. You can call anything a republic, but because of the way our voter registration laws are, and voter suppression,
Yeah. I
we're not
mean,
there.
hell, they don't want people to have water in line voting.
Fucking Georgia, man.
These fucking
I
fools, coward fools, and Nazis. That's what we're
Well, and
dealing
you
with.
see them, you see these patsies, because that's all they are, like fighting their asses off just to be a serf. That's what they're fighting for. They're like, we're going to go to civil war so that I can be a serf in your theocratic feudal state. I'm like, I don't have to save you, right? Like, that's not my job. I don't. I feel like you should do that somewhere else. Go do it. Okay, sounds great. It's gonna be glorious for you. See you later. Take your
Yeah,
family
y'all
with you, not the
go
kids.
go colonize the moon.
Whatever. It's just such a bunch
Oh
of
God,
bullshit.
it is a bunch of bullshit. That one, it appears though that one, I don't know if he's that quite Christo, but at least Fash, Trump appears to be finally getting indicted.
That's some funny shit.
It warms my heart. It warms my fucking heart, and it
Look,
warms
it's
my heart
gonna.
that
It's the best. It's
that is
hilarious.
that it's a sex
Yeah, it's
worker that is doing the work for the American people.
Yeah,
Shout
America's
out.
been saved by a. And people are gonna be like, it don't even matter what happened with her. She's just a sex worker, and I'm all like, you're just an office worker. What? I don't care about you either. Like, what are you even talking about? Just shut up.
Yeah, it doesn't. And everything around this is so weird, like, because everyone's already been waiting for like a week for this to happen, and everyone already had stuff loaded up. Like, all of the
Yes.
things just came out all in like one big section. Like, everyone had their statements already ready, and it's so frustrating. Like,
It's
the
just like,
pushback against it has been sad to look at the last few
okay,
hours.
a lot of those are fake accounts. People getting paid to interact, like it's and AI stuff and just bot farms. But there's a lot of them that aren't, and you're like,
I agree.
you're selling down your country to the fascists for that dude. He wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. He views you with nothing but contempt. He doesn't value your life. He threw away 1 million lives with COVID. Your life didn't mean shit to him, and neither did your mother's, and neither did your aunts, and neither did your kids. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He will never give a fuck about you. And you're going to throw this country down the drain for nothing.
No,
Get your
not
shit
nothing.
together.
Ego, the best thing that's what it's all about, isn't it? Massaging the child's ego that we have. We got a lot of children up there. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous it's taking this long to do any of this bullshit. But
34 indictments is what
wheels of justice turn slow. If they turn, justice.
Yeah, I see a lot of that.
It's just us is what that shit ends up being.
I try not to be. It's gonna be fun. I'm feeling really cynical. I feel like it's almost like his finally getting, indicted is such a letdown. It's like when I was thinking COVID, we got the plague, but it neither created an apocalypse nor zombies. So we got like the low budget plague. Now we're getting the low budget. This is the stupidest timeline. Like, why did we get this stupid timeline?
It's like we're in the Simpsons timeline, literally. Like, that's why is always right is because literally, of course, the first American like president to get arrested for something is about a porn star getting hush money. Of course, that's what it is. Because why wouldn't it be?
Because why wouldn't it be? Because we're so Puritan a nation that we're like, oh my God, sex. But we just let kids get gunned down in school without even doing fuck all. We're like, oh my God, somebody bought some kind of a sex toy, and that's perversion. You can buy them at Walmart, and my kids have to see that, and my kids are being perverted. And this is depraved. I'm all like, your ass was out there talking about arming teachers after the last school shooting. Don't talk to me about depraved. You just love violence. You're like, sex is bad. We can't have sex, only violence. That's it. That's America right there.
Yeah, because
It,
if he was going to be getting arrested for something, like
Yeah.
maybe war crimes and such, like isn't he like wanted across the
No.
world, or what, did that go away or something? What happened with that?
That's George Bush, I think. I think Trump is just
I thought they
no.
also wanted him for bombing
Oh, Iraq.
yeah, for the general that got killed.
I
well, you're talking about Iran. Yeah, Iran.
Iran. I couldn't
yeah,
remember.
the
They,
general.
There's been
No,
so
no,
much
he
that
was
has
killed in
happened.
Iraq. Yeah, he was killed in
yeah,
Iraq. That general was from Iran, and he had gone. I don't know. They were doing something high level.
yeah. It
Um.
was Soleimani, the special ops general. He got
Yep.
killed in Iraq, but he was from Iran. But yeah, I've had a dollar on Iran. I can't. Excuse me, I'm from Alabama, y'all. Uh, Iran taking Trump out, but so far that hasn't happened. But maybe they will. Who knows?
Oh. And of course, we would never actually wish for Iran to come in and do anything like that at all in America. Absolutely not.
No,
Under no circumstances.
that would be bad.
We
That would be
that would be
bad.
we would not advocate for that even a little bit. Um.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that if it's a porn star, maybe we can all start reevaluating our view on sex and sex workers, and maybe that can help lead to things like getting over the whole hating on transgender people, and we can just advance as a society. I'm probably just wishful thinking myself here, but it could happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the current state of things with the current people running things, I don't know if that's going to be possible. I'm just hoping for no concentration camps at this point, honestly.
Yes, I would also like that.
Yeah,
But,
that would be
Uh,
lovely.
yeah.
I'm rooting for that one. Although I that's the one thing I am real concerned about, if we don't start ramping it up some, like over in France, start, you know, Viva Revolution, and and all that shit. We need to do something,
yeah.
All it is,
because it's gonna
all
get
it,
real bad if we don't
yeah.
do something.
All we're talking about is basic human decency. It
Like
ain't that
Yeah,
water.
complicated. And
like
yeah,
water,
clean
housing,
water with no
health
Clean
fucking
care.
water.
microplastics in the motherfuckers.
I
Hmm.
was
But
reading the other day about how Generation Alpha, because I was reading about stuff with my kids and everything, uh, that their DNA they have found that is 1% plastic in their
Yep.
DNA. It is 1% plastic because of the forever chemicals. My
Yep.
children are 1% plastic.
Well, so they're androids. Like that's cool, right? Cyborgs.
we're
But they're
transhumanism.
plastic ones. Like
Right.
that,
They're,
but
they're
that they're not even metal.
transhumans. They're
Yes, they're.
transhumans.
Well, actually, I have from so we still have lead pipes and everything in our water systems over here. So I probably have enough metal in me that's transferred to my children at this point from that they have plastic and metal. They actually might be cyborgs
Yes,
at this point.
it's. Don't think of it like lead poisoning or
Mm-hmm.
being affected by the pollution we just seem to kind of ignore constantly. No, no, no. They're
Mm-hmm.
cyborgs. They're just cyborgs. There's just nothing to worry
Exactly.
about. They're gonna way outlive all of us. It's that I shouldn't have said that. Somebody's gonna try and spin it that way in court. Like,
Fuck, man. Yeah,
I
yeah. Kids are 1% plastic. There's the plastics in the geological record now. Uh, Going good just because of oil. I mean, one fucking thing, you know,
yeah.
and and
Well,
you
and
know,
then you got people like DTE, right, where they're like, "Oh wow, we they raise rates constantly. They don't provide good service, and they shut down every alternative power supplier,
the
right? So
the
solar
the,
companies, no,
the corporation, the way it operates, it's always going to push to a monopoly because
always.
that is its ultimate. That's what it wants. That's how it's
Mhm.
designed. So yeah,
Well,
monopoly.
and because they're greedy, right? So they want that monopoly. They want all the money. And that's when you look at
That
the
too.
world, that's the entire problem. They're like, yeah, we
Mhm.
want everything, all the food supply. I mean, even right now, it's like 6 or 9 companies have the entire global food supply. And it's like, why the hell would anybody on earth think that was a good idea? I mean, I get it. You're trying to feed 6 billion people. I do understand that there's logistics
Eight. Are
issues.
we?
8?
Are we at
Are we
6?
at 8?
8?
Are we at 8?
I don't know. I don't know, but
We're all gonna die.
I
Oh my
did
God,
see
we're all gonna
that
die.
world population is declining. So Bill Gates got
COVID.
his wish.
Eugenics is working.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I hate it
That's what
here.
that was. That was COVID. All of that was just eugenics.
Mhm.
Kill off the
It
sick,
still
kill off
is.
the elderly. It still is. It's
Everything we're
it was one
doing
of
is
the sickest
eugenics.
things.
Well,
It's just
speaking of eugenics and genocide, uh,
yay.
This could literally
yeah.
go anywhere
How
because of how
Yeah.
bad things are.
we well, Felice, how did you make that beautiful thumbnail today?
Oh, yes, yes. It's a very different thumbnail because it is made with AI and me putting in things, and that's about
And
it. It
and
took 5
AI
seconds.
will genocide us. So that's the
Oh,
transition I brought in. So mhm.
Maybe
oh
not.
lordy,
Maybe
I
not.
don't.
Let's be
I
positive.
Let's be positive. They seem okay. So from what I've seen anyway with AI, they're like, oh, that you shouldn't listen to it fully because they don't know what they're talking about. It could be propaganda. It's like, no, they're just being truthful. They're going off of facts, and that's
But
a very bad thing.
I don't even
But
tolerate people telling me not to listen to stuff that might be propaganda. I'm like, first of all, who the hell do you think you're talking to? But also, second, do you even know what propaganda is? Like,
Well, that's what they're actually. You really okay? So you need to go over what actual propaganda is,
yeah, let's do a
because
propaganda?
definition.
yeah,
You
what
want to do
actually it is, because that is the word that people are throwing around with this over and over again.
with the
Like we're worried
AI?
that it's
Oh,
going to,
no,
yeah,
no, no, no,
AI
no,
is
no.
going to be feeding you propaganda.
Your
Is the
government feeds you
word.
propaganda every single day. And it's not, so there's a couple of ways I define propaganda. So there is the type of propaganda where your government, you remember that song the Vietnamese made for COVID and then wash your hands? And it was such a cute little catchy, that's propaganda. It absolutely is. Right. And then a lot of us, I think, have seen those posters for the war efforts like, don't pick up girls on a corner. You're going to get gonorrhea. Right. That's propaganda. But then you have what I call weaponized propaganda. Propaganda that's designed to radicalize, that's designed to do brain damage because it does. Um, and so when we're talking about propaganda development, the first thing you really have to understand is that, you know, there are only so many ways to communicate with mass groups of humans. Hey, get your flu shot is propaganda. Eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables is propaganda, right? Don't ration your meds like you can afford them, but take your medication at the same time every day. Socially engineering things is essentially what propaganda does. And every government does it because there are some things you really just have to push. Vaccinations, right? Sanitation, things like that. That it's just not efficient to try to go borough by borough. right? Neighborhood by neighborhood. No, you put out these huge mass messaging campaigns. Okay. Um, and those are generally positive and they're very useful. And they're things like, um, that they overall contribute to social good. But it's still propaganda in the sense that it is a message created with a purpose designed to impact behavior. So there's, it's so complicated and so simple at the same time. It can be very hard to explain. So when you're talking about the kind of propaganda that creates child soldiers that you see with these mass killers getting radicalized on, that stuff is what I call weaponized propaganda. It's created to be addictive. It's created, most of it is based off old USSR propaganda that they used for social engineering. And it took 2 generations to sink in to the Russian people. When the GOP and Parscale and the other people that I don't want to get sued, so I'll just leave it alone, the Federalist Society and all their funders, NRA, all got in bed together to create that propaganda that Trump dumped in the brains of people within like 6 months, and their brains started melting. That is weaponized agitation propaganda, subversion propaganda, the kind of stuff designed to destabilize a nation propaganda. So there's a lot of different kinds, but I don't really see how AI will it eventually produce messages like, hey, get your flu shot? Probably. Maybe. But it might tell us, hey, get your flu door or something equally absurd because it's not that great. Um, but the weaponized stuff only works if the message is localized. You can't take something like a machine program in Brazil and pinpoint a town in Alabama and figure out what their local issues are. That's why there's always power brokers involved in this kind of stuff, because to understand what's happening in Huntsville, Alabama, you need to be in Huntsville, Alabama, or at the
Hmm.
very least have an idea because you're in the town next door. All politics are local. Propaganda is no different. When you don't have that finger on the pulse of the community, when you don't have any idea what you're trying to weaponize, then it's not going to be effective. Um, because you have to understand your target.
Yeah.
And an AI script will never understand a human. So I think we can call it lots of things, but I don't know that we should call it propaganda.
I mean, it's a tool,
It's a tool.
and honestly, it works off the input of the user, right? So, the user wants to even create some propaganda with it, you can. But that the we talk about like locality and uh, propaganda is seems it's an organizational tool or an
Yeah,
institutional tool,
it
right?
is.
Uh, and but how does one become their own propaganda machine? You know,
Well, that's
It-
your marketers, your
well,
salespeople.
yeah, but like thinking about like back to TikTok and all those folks putting out their propaganda, you know. Uh,
Well, but there's a difference though, because the idea
yeah,
behind propaganda is like, yes, you'll get your revolutionaries using it, but it's more often a state-sponsored thing. When
it's
you have
time and time again. It's a PSA.
it's a
Is
PSA,
that's where you see
the
that's where
most of
you
it.
get your most of your propaganda. Yeah,
It
but
is. You're recruiting posters, right? Like most of that stuff, most of the time, and even a lot of the propaganda we see on Twitter or on Reddit or on TikTok is
MSM
state-sponsored
and
propaganda. It is.
yeah, Uh, yeah,
Now,
they
whether
got
it's a state that likes us.
even when the stories are from overseas, they'll plant the story locally overseas and get it fed back into the U.S.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
And the right wing is really
news
good at doing
stream.
this. And I see people more than once. I have heard people say that, we on the left or the Democrats or anyone right, left of center, we should be building messaging campaigns like the right uses. The reason we don't is because we're not evil. If you guys think like,
I, there's, I don't know. I was looking and thinking the other day about what messages that have penetrated the U.S. folks, like healthcare, education. Yeah, these are high percentage wins, but there's the left. Yeah,
yeah,
the
there is no the left. Like we just say that,
yeah,
like,
it's not there exactly.
no.
Like,
I mean, there's lots of leftists.
but all the people want all these leftist populist policies, and there is a total vacuum of leadership and organization. You know,
Well, the reason for that being that for the most
by
part,
design, they do
by
well.
design.
They co-op people. You
Yep,
know, they
it's by
kill
design.
people. You
What?
know, like Fred Hampton,
Oh,
MLK, what have you.
I thought we were talking about people on the left, and you just busted out with they kill people, and I'm like, excuse me?
No, no, no,
See
no,
what?
no. Like, yeah, yeah.
Hopefully
The
not yet.
removal of leftist leaders and imprisonment.
do.
Well,
They do.
there's always been something working against the left or communism or socialism. There's always been something. There's never been a time where
Rich
that has
motherfuckers.
been tried
Yeah, that's it.
and it hasn't been messed with one way or the other.
There,
Well,
It's not been allowed.
there's a couple of interesting studies that show that corporations and oligarchs and stuff like that will support the creation of democracies because the democracy is more likely to prevent or to protect their mass land rights and stuff than an autocracy will. So, in fact, all these democracies are contributing to the monopolization. They're contributing to the abuse by these corporations because we allow these monopolies.
all
We
right.
do
So
nothing.
what I'm hearing is world dictator is what we need.
No, no,
No.
no. I believe in democracy. I do. I think that we should take all the money back from the oligarchs and make them live on an island and let them eat each other.
Mm.
That's
Mhm.
whatever they do is not my issue. I don't give a shit. Like how many people have died? They're like, well, we need to raise HUD housing because we don't want to raise taxes on the quadrillionaire. Oh, okay.
I just want to get rid of money altogether. Like
Yeah.
that's my main goal. Just get rid of money and everything
What's your
will
politics?
be better.
Abolish money. How about that?
I like abolishing things. That's what that's the best thing. Like I know I'm an abolitionist already, but like I take it to such a level. It's ridiculous. I've gone on like rants on abolishing the legislature, abolishing everything at this point because it's all the whole system just needs to go.
Right?
So
I mean,
it'd be nice if we just did that.
if we could just abolish all the evil. I told my kid last night was like, name one wish you have, mom, a big wish, and don't say go to sleep. And I was like, okay, I wish for world peace. And he's like, yeah, you're not going to get that. So don't say world peace and don't say go to sleep. What's your other wish? And I'm like, I wish that
You
children
would stop asking me this.
and go to sleep. I was like, I wish that kids, all the kids everywhere, were safe. That'd be great. And he's like, okay, you can make that wish. I was like, thanks. But it's still the same as world peace, so whatever. I don't care. If it's safe for kids, it's safe for
You
everyone
just
else.
lawyered the child. Nice job.
Thank you. I'm not a lawyer yet. I
Yet.
think yet. I'm going to finish my PhD and give it a few years and go to law school probably, but
Ooh.
only if I can get somebody to pay for it.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
I'm not
Although
paying for law school.
I'm just planning, hopefully, on just being a student forever and just never having to pay back anything because I don't plan on paying back anything.
I
So,
like academia.
me
I'm ready
L-
to stop being a
learning is
student, but
learning is fun, and being around people that are learning is. I said learning is fun, uh, and
They're
yeah,
listening all the time.
good.
what?
Yeah. How did you? Yeah. I'll slow down on that one too. Uh, y'all, it's been about an
Yeah,
hour.
Oh,
yeah, I
wow.
think
It's
it's time
been.
to wrap up.
Yeah.
I'm.
We never even got to talk about Elon ruining Twitter, did we?
Could
No,
Elon
we
just
did
could
not.
charge everybody $8 one time and verify the entire
Or,
website? That's all he'd
or,
have to do. He's overcomplicating this shit.
or if he literally, if he made it $1,
Yeah,
he would have such a better margin. Like it would work so much better. He would make so much more money. He would make up for that other $7 or whatever that he missed, and
yeah.
everyone would be more of it's more reasonable to
Somebody
pay a
came
Well,
up
dollar.
with that $8 number for some reason. You know what I mean? But I agree that he would probably do well by lowering it. But there's he ran off half his advertisers. You know.
well, yeah, and they're not coming back until he gets the stupid bots and the stupid racists and the stupid fucking Nazi filth back off
But,
his website,
but they're all
right?
his friends, so he's never going to get rid of them.
I don't even know if that dude has any friends, man.
Oh, he doesn't. There's no way.
Do you think
They're
I
just
any
feel
of
bad
them
making.
have
for him.
any
I do. I
friends?
feel bad for him. I do.
Are any of
Like,
us real though?
I
Like
I'm
mean, I
all
gonna
of
have
our
like,
friends.
I'm gonna
I
turn him
have like
into
three.
we can turn him into South African biltong. It's a dried preserved meat.
Hmm.
Much
He
like
doesn't
jerky.
have to be he's like when I see Elon Musk, what I see is a guy like struggling between what his South African family wants and he just wants to go to Mars. Like he doesn't have to be who these people think he has to be. Like he's got a brother. His brother can be the racist fuckwad, like Elon's accomplished shit. He's old enough now. He's got 75 kids or something. He's
Yeah,
like I feel like he's grown, and he doesn't have to be that guy who's helping South African like Dutch descendants try to destabilize the world just so they can keep apartheid. Like he doesn't have to. Nobody can make him. He's richer than all of them. He's completely free. He could choose better.
But
Also,
he
just
doesn't because
he's clinically incapable.
politically incapable.
so
He
therapy
is.
is this thing they invented recently. I don't know. Maybe he hasn't heard of it.
He needs an ass
And
whooping, like most of
Uh,
them.
you're
he needs to just
advocating.
go away.
I
I
just
would
I just
just.
think
I hate him.
no. I just no. And here's the truth. I would pay because the verification issue is an issue. He's right about the bots being out of control. And there are like counter social verifies. It's like a one-time fee. I know Gab does. I know Truth Social does. I know Facebook does verify you these days. They want a picture of your ID if you get locked out. They like Instagram verified me twice. Same thing, right? So the reason they're doing all that is just to try to control all these agit bots, right? So I do understand the reasoning behind it, but he doesn't need a subscription fee. It's not like he has to do anything except hire 3 sysadmins that he needs anyway to maintain those databases, right? You can write a macro if you have to pull something. In fact, they've already done it, I'm sure, right? So charge someone $5, charge someone $1. Be like, okay, now you're verified. I know that you're a real person. You showed me your ID. That's you. That's your name. There's your check mark. People would pay for that if it was a one-time fee. If it was just like, oh, okay, I only have to do this for $1 one time,
But
just to
eh,
cover labor.
life is a subscription now,
I
and
hate that. It's
that's the
fucking
way it
what?
is.
fucking
That's the way it
worst.
is. Well, I
Well,
think
I'm
on
not paying
that
for
note,
it.
y'all, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we'll be
all paying
back
for it.
talking about everything more. This was our little relaxed live
Mm.
stream just to pull the band-aid off, to get back on here, start doing stuff. It'll be a little bit, we'll have more research done and all that stuff more for the next stuff. We have a new show coming out called Thanks I Hate It that the three of us are going to be doing, and that should be fun.
Because we're so
Because
positive and optimistic.
yeah, and we hate it here a lot. And we're positive. It's just that we also need to, get out the negative sometimes.
Well, and it's important to talk about these things. You got to bring sunlight to shit. If you don't bring the sunlight, nobody's ever going to know.
Mm-hmm.
You got to talk about it. All right, so go out there and hug those trans kids unless they don't want you to.
Yes.
But obviously, don't touch them because that's
No.
creepy and gross.
Only do things with consent.
Yeah,
But
consent is
protect
hot.
them.
Yes. Not-
Protect everyone who is being oppressed right now, which is
Definitely.
all of
So many people.
working class, everyone, but especially the people who are being completely destroyed right now in our legislature.
It's always a good day to punch a Nazi, y'all.
Yes,
It is always a
every
good day to punch a Nazi. Hey, it's always a good day to not let people around you be harassed by Nazis, too.
Mhm.
It's never a bad time to do that. Never a bad time to not let other people bully other people. Like, step up, talk, mentor, be involved in the community, help people out because I'm such an anarchist. I am. Help people out. Do the work because, like I said, all messaging is local. All politics is local. If you want to be governor, you need to start on your block, right? Like, if you
Mhm.
want a better world, you got to build it. So just go out there, mentor the youth, protect them from radicalization, protect the really targeted ones right now. These kids are going to be a force, and you do not want them to arrayed against you. I'm sure of that.
Mhm.
And
Be on the right
yeah,
side of history. It's real easy.
It's really easy. You barely have to do like anything.
Mhm.
just
And
knock on
I'm
some
the
doors.
Don't be
Get
a
and
dick.
going.
It's real easy.
I'm the rude, like I'm so rude and I swear and stuff like that, and nobody has ever punched me. Right? So it's not even that scary. If people are scared, you're worried about it. Like, listen, I have looked people in the face and said the foulest shit right to their face, and nobody has ever punched me for it. So if you're worried about getting punched in the face, which is a legitimate concern, I can tell you that most of the time, no, I'm like 42 or 43, and nobody has ever punched me in the face for being rude to them over something like politics. So just do it. Don't be scared.
It's fun.
Mhm. And also, if you do get punched in the face, that gives you, the right to do whatever you want to them. So,
Which is also fun.
by law,
And,
you're allowed because
and,
they, put hands
and
on you first. Anyway,
And never, ever, ever talk to cops. All right, guys.
never.
Never.
y'all, we'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
Much
Stop
love,
Cop
y'all.
City.
Yeah.
Bye.
Fuck.
Bye.